Hey, what's up? Hank Klinger here. Today I want to shoot a video about the importance of imagination. And exactly, imagination is what's going to develop your entire future. The things that you imagine are what you'll see reflected in the world around you. And most people don't develop their imagination properly. They focus on things they don't want. And they take a lot of things for granted. For instance, this computer. Most people look at it and they just see a computer. But the people who see the significance in the small things around us and learn to look in what's really underlying all the objects in your world will start to see the significance in everything and the magical circumstances around them. And this will in turn create more, and this will help you visualize the plans necessary to create the future that you want. For instance, as I said before, you look at this computer, but when was the last time you really thought of the computer? When was the last time that you traced back where the computer came from? You know, you look at a computer and you see the plastic, you see the screen, and it seems to be nothing. Turn it off and it's just a hunk of material, it's an object. But when you start to think back on it, you trace it back to how it came into existence, how it came to you, and you follow it back to the factory where it was first made, you know, possibly on a production line with men and machines working side by side together, producing it, you know, molding the plastics, putting the transistors together, the hard drives, inserting the parts, and you trace it back even further to that. And it goes back to the designers, the people who developed it, who were sitting around, and there's possibly people who wanted this on it, and people that wanted this piece of information on it, or this ability for the machine to do, and they worked together. Some of them probably worked against each other, but ultimately they came up with a plan that developed this computer. You trace it back even further, and it goes back to the designer of the first computer, you know. And it really goes back all the way to the first person. You can trace it all the way back to the first people that, you know, developed plastic, that found the law that basically allowed them to create plastic from petroleum. And then you can take it all the way back to the people that first learned how to harvest petroleum. And you can do the same thing with the electricity. You can trace it all the way back to Marconi and Edison, the people who found the law of electricity, who learned how to harness it. You know, if they never harnessed it, the law of electricity, this computer wouldn't even be here. And people don't see the significance of what it takes for all this to happen. And they can't picture and materialize in their imagination all these processes that created these things that we use in our lives, whether it be a car, whether it be a microwave, whether it be a battleship or a destroyer in the Navy or the jet that you fly onto when you go on your next vacation. They take so many things for granted, and they don't think about and trace back all the way back to, say, Orville Wright and Wilbur Wright, to where if they never figured out how to fly, we wouldn't have transportation like we did. Just like if Edison didn't figure out how to harness the law of electricity, you wouldn't be sitting here looking at this computer. And then people don't realize how many things that are undeveloped in the world, such as laws that we haven't even begun to see yet. For instance, take electricity. When Edison developed it, when he learned to harness electricity, there was no more electricity in the world than there was since the dawn of man. But he learned how to bring it into existence, and now it illuminates nearly all the globe. And this is the process for imagination, because what you can do is you can learn to see the future that you want. For instance, if you want to be making $10,000 a month, then you can visualize that with some of the early procedures that I taught you and exercises that I taught you. And then you can trace your steps back to all the possibilities, all the circumstances, situations, and scenarios and events that had to lead up to that point. You doing your daily tasks, your routines, learning and becoming a better person and growing, and see the magical circumstances that leads all the way back to us. And you can see that your car, your computer, your house, it begins with the object, and it ultimately starts, or it ends with the object, and it ultimately starts with our thoughts. See, most of these things you don't realize that thoughts are everything. When you think about this computer and you trace back to step to step to step to step, you see the computer, you see the factory, you see the workers, you see the designers, then you see the thought before it was ever a tangible object. And then you can see that thoughts really are the creation of all things. And you can start to understand that if somebody can think a computer to existence, that you can think your ideal life into existence. And this is one of the most powerful concepts that most people can learn and grasp in their lives. When you start to see everything around you as an effect, and you start to trace it back to the cause, your world will transform. I can look at anything in this room now, and I can break down and imagine vividly what it took to create it and get it here sitting in front of me. This also creates a thought of abundance and the hard mental labor, hard physical labor, the energy and money that had to go into developing all these things. And this really helps you grow an appreciation and an attitude for gratitude, and it overall increases your quality of life. So I want to give you an exercise for this week, and I want you to pick something in your life that is important to you, such as your car, such as your television, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be important, but something that took energy to get, something that you had to work at to get. Maybe it was your computer you're looking at, and then trace it back, sit and think about what it took to make that. Try to imagine, try to visualize the people that had to come together in order to make it a reality, in order to make it a tangible object, and try to trace it all the way back to its existence to where it was you. Because when people develop things like computers and cars and airplanes, they're designing them and developing for people like you and I. They're developing them for the multitude. And you can see that it all begins with us. It begins with you, it begins with I, and it begins with thoughts in our head that are cultivated, passed on, designed, developed, and then grown into and created into a tangible object. So as I said before, sit down by yourself, pick an object, and break it down, deconstruct it. Start trying to do this more and more on a daily basis, and you can see that thoughts really create all things. And when you can really grasp that, then you can get the understanding of what I'm trying to convey here, that your thoughts can create whatever you want in your life. And not only can they, but they already have. And then when that happens, you take responsibility for every situation, circumstance, and scenario in your life. And when you do that, you become empowered. For you see that if you are the creator of your life up to this point, you can in turn recreate it to your desire, to how you want it. That it's just a story that you've written, and you can in turn start a new chapter in the direction that you want. And you can end your life in fulfillment and with no regret. And I don't mean this, I mean this in a positive way, that when you're old, in your old age, you can look back on your life and you can be happy about it. You can be enjoy about it, and you can have no regrets, and you can be peace, and you can be at joy. And this is really the secret of life, is to create your own life, to take responsibility of life. It's one of the many great secrets. And it's natural law to be in harmony, to be in control of your thoughts, your emotions, and therefore your life. So with that being said, my name is Hank Klinger. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I hope you get some value from it. I would love to connect more with you, so connect with me on Facebook. You can do that by clicking the link below this video, or you can just look me up on Facebook. I'll see you guys. Take care, and I hope you have a wonderful day.